1 week on the mountain.
Yeah, 1 week spent on top of the FIFA mountain.
Wait, hold on.
Hey.
Wow,
Hey,
dude.
Daddy reclaimed the throne. It's all right.
Wow.
Everyone has a rut, man.
Shots fired. Well, because it's funny.
Pew, pew.
You were talking about mountains, and I'm taking off to Colorado for a little birthday trip next week, so I thought you were talking about that mountain, but you're really just talking about just keeping my seat warm.
Yeah. Basically. I'm taking back home field advantage.
Hey, dog, we got the sticks downstairs. You know,
we can get at it.
It doesn't take that long
here.
to push a button.
I'm literally here all the time.
Yeah, well, guess what? It feels like I am, too.
Welcome, everybody, to the Inner Miami podcast. I am Jay Kington, alongside, as always, Mr. Alex Papa George. We are both a little mentally slow, I will say. We went out to celebrate Alex's birthday last night. Got a little rowdy, to say the least.
29 years young, Jay. 29 years young.
It feels like we're 40.
Well, you know, some parts of our body, absolutely. If you don't do so, go ahead and follow us on Instagram or Facebook. If you do, you saw some exclusive content of Saturday night at the Wharf.
Inner Miami podcast on Facebook and IG. Emails, as always, Jay and Alex at innermiamipodcast.com. Do want to give some shout outs.
Question.
What's up?
Jay.
What?
Can we write that off? Can we write off that expense of a birthday party?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a business function. We
so
did
too.
some work activities.
I think it should just be
It is tax time.
It is tax time. It's in our minds.
Find the loopholes and write it off.
I agree. And IRS, if you're listening to this, we didn't do it.
We did not do it. Wanted to shout out some new countries we got. Switzerland, Ghana, Colombia. I can't remember if I've already announced Colombia or not. Mexico, and the Bahamas.
Mexico y Bahamas.
The Bahamas. Not far from us.
I was in the Bahamas last year.
About 90 miles.
Bahamas are awesome, man. Every time I go down there, I have a blast.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. It's hard to not enjoy.
Yeah, it is. What else, Jay? What's on the docket? Here we got some special activity, as Jay said.
So last week, we had an interview with Luis Robles.
We did.
Fantastic guy. Enjoyed a lot. Great guy. This week, we have an interview with another Luis.
Who's
Mr.
that?
Luis Argudo, who we selected in the expansion draft. And he will be joining us later on in the show. We actually spoke with him a couple days ago as he's getting ready for everything to kick off. Diego Alonso is now in South Florida.
He's in the building.
He is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. So really, we're going to run through a few things. Of course, we're going to do the interview. They have a preseason schedule with a couple free games open to the public. A lot of them are closed, but they do have 2 open. We've acquired our technical staff.
7 to be exact.
Yep. We're going to answer another listener questions, a couple player signings, or one player signing rather, a couple player rumors people were putting bids out for, and we have the winner of the beer contest or poll.
I think it was more so a poll, and from our side, voting really picked up on the second week. I think people got the message. You gotta vote if you want your beer to win. If you don't vote, your beer is not gonna win.
That's literally how voting works.
Yeah. So which reminds me, election time's coming around. Get out and vote, people. If you got something to say, do it in the polls.
Do we just pivot to a political podcast?
No, we're gonna pivot it right back. Jay, I will lay down a drum line for you, sir. Will you please tell the listeners who the 2020 inaugural keg will be from Three Kings?
We've got that Herren Hefeweizen. Woo! Which will be brewed with something representative of South Florida and the tropics. So we look forward to getting that from Three Kings and bringing it to the game. And hopefully we get our keg. Are you happy with that selection, Alex? You see what I did there?
God, Jay.
I'm a dad. That's a dad joke.
That was incredible, man.
Yeah?
That's a play on words that I can appreciate.
All right, buddy.
I love it. I'm stoked. Hefeweizen's one of my favorite beers, so Come on out. Like we've been saying this whole time, not only I'm sure everybody that's listening to this podcast will be at a season opener here, but if you do want to swing by, Jay, myself, and a bunch of other people have already told us that they'd love to come by too. Are going to be we're going to have some beer around, probably some barbecue and some good times before the game kicks off.
Yeah, because I'm down to try that choripan.
Ooh, that's right.
Yeah.
We have all that food. Oh my God.
It's going to be a good time.
It is going to be a good time, which is funny enough is because, Jay, we actually on Friday zipped by Old Lockhart Stadium.
We did. We were able to, I mean, it's obviously going up. They've got the colored seats in the supporter section. Ton of workers still out there. We did take some pictures. I believe you put those on the gram.
I will be putting them on the gram, but we did do a little story action again. That's why you got to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, because we dropped the exclusive content. But as we were driving by, Jay and myself actually kicked off an interesting conversation. Why the heck isn't there any advertising around the city, or needless to say, around the stadium itself?
Yeah, it's strange because they have like the murals and some minimal advertising down in Miami, but there's really none by Lockhart or really throughout South Florida. You would think there'd be a lot more. I don't understand exactly why that is. It would only build hype. There might be something they're not wanting to do. It blows my mind.
I mean, from my side of the whole thing, and I know everybody listening here has been really anticipating the start of the season, is that you're bringing a professional sports franchise down to a new area, and we are about 2 months away from kickoff of actually the 2020 regular season here. And I haven't seen anything. I've seen billboards on the past driving by the 95 promoting games at, Hard Rock Stadium and things like that. But even when you do drive by the stadium itself, there's not even a sign out on the fence saying this is Inter Miami, coming in 2020 or March or whatever that may be. I'm a little surprised, but I'm kind of curious. What's your opinion on, why we see a lack of advertising or marketing here?
I mean, I don't want to criticize their marketing department. There might be some reason that's not publicly known of why they're not pushing it, to a higher level. I think it would only help. I don't think it'll necessarily hurt, but you could grow the hype so much more if you did that. I mean, I guess here's the issue. So they had the stadium's 18,000. They had 9,000. Season ticket reservations, and that was the max. So maybe they feel because they've basically sold out already, they don't need to do it.
Well, listen, I mean, tickets are going to be sold, and in a perfect world we'll fill out this stadium 10 times out of 10, but I don't think the reason for the lack of marketing or advertising should be around the seats getting filled. This is a new stadium getting brought over here, and you have to develop hype because, beyond ticket sales, there's also support around the community that's required. And I'm someone to tend to believe that winning solves most problems or things. So if our team comes out and, starts kicking ass and we start taking home dubs and giving other teams L's, I'm sure the hype and awareness will evolve and increase around the team, but it seems like a little missed opportunity here as, a franchise getting going to kind of, not take advantage of this hype train that we're on.
Exactly. Well, and also they haven't had Miami Fusion since, 2001. They haven't had the Strikers for several years now. Mm-hmm. You would think that they'd want to let people know that this void is being filled and that soccer's coming back to South Florida.
Well, listen, when we drove by and we got out and we took, some pictures, we had stopped by, was that about a few months ago, and we kind of saw, not the building itself. We have seen a lot of advertising, postings on social about how the building's getting built actually, but when it was a plot of land, we swung by, so we wanted to kind of keep tabs on the stadium ourselves, but not even a sign out on the fence itself that I could see.
Maybe they want privacy to build and don't want a bunch of people coming out being a distraction, I guess.
Well, it was interesting because there were people driving by left and right, and everybody was obviously looking at the giant stadium that's getting created, but it was something that stood out in our minds. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinion and feedback, no matter if you're in the Palm Beach area, Broward County, Miami-Dade, whatever that may be. If we've just totally missed the boat on this, I'd love to know. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts about, how, the advertising and marketing efforts have gone thus far, in this inaugural season here. So send us a message, shoot us an email. Again, intermiamipodcast.com makes it really easy for everybody. We've got some awesome listener questions, which we're going to answer at the end of the show. But did kind of want to touch on that a little bit here in my surprise state, Jay.
Yeah, I will say that the grounds do look gorgeous.
They look beautiful.
Don't
get me wrong.
You've got the actual stadium. You've got, your offices, kind of training center, the big building, and then you've got all the practice field. So it does look like everything's coming together, very, very nicely. And I think it's going to be a beautiful location when all is said and done.
Yeah, and just for the listeners out there who, like Jay said, maybe you're in Mexico, maybe you're in Ghana, maybe you're in Switzerland, who don't get to see Lockhart Stadium, we're going to go ahead and post a few pictures on our Instagram here this week so you guys can kind of get a feel for where we are in the stadium, construction side of it. Mm-hmm. But
you can even go to the Inter Miami website, the official website, and see like the concept designs as well.
Correct.
So you get an idea for what it will look like when it's finished, but you can also see, where it is in its current state through our social media. And I've seen quite a few people in the fan group, sharing photos of it. So I mean, everyone's really excited, and supporter section looks great. Stadium's going to be beautiful, and
stadium's going to be beautiful.
It's going to be a hell of a time.
It's going to be a hell of a time. Love what they're doing again with the long-term vision of obviously, Freedom Park being down in Miami. All things go according to plan and what this stadium of Lockhart will eventually turn into. Which brings us to a really exciting portion of today's podcast, Jay.
Indeed. The preseason schedule was released. There are many events, scrimmages, preseason games that are closed to the public, so no one can go there. But there are 2 games that are open, and the good news is they're both free. Semi-bad news is requires a little bit of a drive, but we're going to make it. We know a lot of people in the supporters groups are going to make it, but there are going to be 2 free open games in Tampa. I guess actually St. Pete to be more exact.
Tampa area.
Yeah, Tampa area. It's all kind of the same. The 15th of February and the 22nd of February. So consecutive Saturdays in the middle of February. On the 15th, we're playing against the Philadelphia Union. That's at the 2020 Rowdies Suncoast Invitational at Al Lang Field in St. Pete. And on the following Saturday, February 22nd, we will be playing the Tampa Bay Rowdies also at Al Lang Field.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. We're recording this podcast on a Sunday, January 19th.
We're less than a month away of being able to see some sort of Inter Miami squad playing.
We are less than a month away, which is pretty exciting. I know, like Jay said, myself and Jay will be going up with a small group. I won't give us the credit of saying small army yet, but eventually we will be a small army, and I'm sure all the supporters groups out there are going to bring up probably a small army. So
yeah. Well, the exciting thing about these exhibition games is it's not like, actual season play where you are only allowed, a certain amount of substitutions, 3 substitutions. In a lot of these exhibition and preseason games, there's no limit. So a lot of players will be able to see the field, so we'll be able to kind of experience different players, get a better idea for what that starting lineup's going to be, who would be probably coming off the bench, the most likely ones to come off the bench, and then, kind of see how some of these younger players, we have a ton of young players, how they, play, how they perform, how they adapt, and then we'll be able to get a better, more concrete idea of what this squad's going to look like, March 1st against LAFC.
Yeah. To your point, Jay, I think everybody's just really, really excited about what's upcoming here. And like you said, just seeing everybody out on the pitch, getting going, passing the ball around, some goals out there, getting a feel for also the sense of fandom that's going to come and join. Yeah. I mean, listen, it is St. Petersburg. It's a little bit of a drive. You're probably looking at about 3 to 4 hours, depending on how fast you want to drive. Be careful on Alligator Alley, because I've been caught a few times out there. So do slow down a little bit. But, I think myself and, Jay are really excited. We're going to be out there, like you said, on February 15th against the Philadelphia Union for that game out there. I myself cannot make the following game due to a little bit of business travel, but Jay and myself will at least be out there on the 15th. So if you are joining, love to sync with you, and just shoot us a note, shoot us an email, DM, whatever you want to do.
Yep. You know what else I'm really excited about?
What's that, Jay?
This interview we have with Luis Argudo.
Argudo is the man, and that's an understatement, everybody.
I like him a lot. Young, sharp kid. And another one who really is humble and focused and has a great mental approach, to the game, which, I think only helps build a more complete team.
Yeah, can't believe the guy is 24 years old. He's out of Wake Forest in the ACC, coming down from Queens, New York, where he was originally born. And without further ado,
let's just get into it.
Let's get into it here. Enjoy, everybody.
What's up, everybody? Today we have a very, very special guest that we're extremely excited to have on. But we have Mr. Luis Argudo, who selected in the expansion draft from the Columbus Crew, who just got down here to Miami, settled in nicely and preparing for training camp and preseason. But Luis, welcome to the podcast, man.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys and obviously for you guys to give me some insight on Miami.
Absolutely, man. Well, welcome down here to sunny South Florida, where the winters are a little bit warmer than probably what you're used to.
I'm excited for that for sure.
Yeah. We've done it all, the good and the bad in between. So, you want any pointers or ideas of stuff to do, man, just let us know. But I guess, just tell us a little bit about yourself, being from New York and playing, for two schools, but one we're really excited about, Wake Forest, because we're both went to ACC schools. So shout out to the ACC. Just give the listeners an idea of kind of who you are.
Yeah, your typical hardworking player. I think if you speak to any of the coaches that ever coached me, really, I think they'll say that my type of game is someone who doesn't stop. I'll always try to help the team in any way. Obviously, I take pride in the soccer player I am, like the technical side and all that. But for me, there's only one thing you can control, and that's your work rate. And I think anyone who's ever watched me play would say that that's probably my number one thing, and that's something that I take pride in. So I think for the fans, if I get the chance to play, obviously they'll see a lot of that, and I'm excited to show the fans that.
Awesome. And I know we were talking a little bit off, mic here before, but sounds like you just got down here to the Fort Lauderdale area. Have you synced or met up with any of the guys on the team yet?
No, not yet. One of the teammates, actually, Mikey Ambrose, is getting in tonight, so I'll see him later today. I know Luis Robles and Roman Torres are around the area, so I'll probably see them as well. But right now I'm just chilling, getting settled in a little bit and just relaxing.
Awesome. Well, I know everybody's excited here to have you down, and something that always kind of drives a little bit of curiosity to me. You've been a professional soccer player here for the last few years. This will obviously be a new team for you here, but what was kind of the biggest change that you saw in collegiate soccer coming from Wake Forest and moving into the professional ranks? What would you say is kind of the biggest change? Because you obviously played at a very high level, being one of the runner-ups to the national championship.
Right. I think just the speed of play, really. I always credited Wake Forest a lot in my development as a soccer player, and I spoke about it in a lot of interviews that, like you guys said, they're one of the top schools in the country. And I think just being there really prepared me for these type of moments. Obviously, I'll go back and watch some of the games, and it's not as high paced as it is as the pro level, but that's really about it. The physicality is always going to be there. You always like Roman Torres. I played against him, right? He's a huge center back. You don't really get those in college soccer, so it's different. It's definitely different, but I think I've gotten accustomed to it, and I have some stuff that I do that help me, that give me the advantage. So I think just the speed of play, really. And then I obviously you get used to it as the years go by. But like I said, Wake Forest is a great school and helped me out a lot for sure.
Cool. In regards to just like the competitive level, I mean, I know everybody that's playing a sport wants to win, and that's why everyone enjoys sports, right? That's why you play, because you're passionate about it. But as far as the level of, I guess, athletic ability that you play in college versus professional soccer, where everyone's a great athlete, what was that adjustment like? Like, what are the major differences of going from, you know, college amateur soccer to professional, as far as playing styles or attitude, preparation?
I think there's some stuff that's different, right? Preparation, if you want to make it to the next level, you need to take care of your body a lot. And that's something that I didn't do much of in college, I guess. But now that obviously it's what my job is and it's what pays the bills. So I'm better at, rolling out more and taking more care of my body. I think the style of play, it all depends on the team you're at, right? I know some teams like to not kick the ball up and run, but that's their style of play. Everyone's different. Luckily for me, I got chosen to go to a great team in Columbus Crew, and Coach Greg had his own philosophy that we were never going to kick it up, only when we needed to. And for some reason that was something that we did in at Wake too. That we were a team that possessed the ball in the opponent's half. We never kicked the ball up, so I think my game from college translated perfectly to the game that the Crew played, at least, because I've only been in one team. But just being confident is something that my coach at Wake and Coach Greg and Coach Caleb also harped me on, and just to be confident when I have the ball, and that's really it.
Yeah, and I mean, you touched on a pretty mature aspect of professional sports, and that's really taking care of your body. And some players, it takes a long time to realize that. Other players don't even come to realize that, unfortunately, in their career. Was there a kind of moment where you kind of realized that it was maybe your diet or workout routine that you needed to tweak a little bit to kind of keep up with some of these older people here? I know my glory days were before the age of 25, and I know my moment. So did you have one of those at all?
I guess I did. It was mostly just being super sore. I remember one time in my first preseason with Columbus, we played a game and we didn't perform that well, and we had all played 90. And then Coach Greg made us do sprints after because he was livid on the performance. And I've never cramped in my quads in my life. And then that day, both of them just decided to cramp super bad. And that's when I was like, what, I should probably drink more water, roll out more, sleep more.
Eat some
and then
bananas.
After that, eat some bananas, some oranges after that day. That's all I've been doing.
Yeah. I played football in high school, and I was plagued with horrible calf cramps in the middle of the night. I mean, they would wake me. I would jump out of bed in, absolute pain. And then the next day, it'd be impossible to walk. And I can only imagine running as much as a soccer player does, because there's several breaks throughout the game in football. But my calves feel that when you say that. But what was your first thought when Inter selected you? Like, what were your emotions, with that selection? Were you watching the expansion draft? Did you just get a call, or how did that roll out?
So I was watching it, but my agent and I talked a lot about the possibilities of maybe getting chosen. Obviously you see the rumors online weeks before that they're interested in picking me, and for me, I don't care about the rumors until it's said and done. Then that's when I'll believe it, right? Spoke to my agent a lot that morning. I was like, hey, if you would know if something were to come up, right? He said, yeah. Then I was watching it, and then they said my name, and I was kind of shocked, really, because I've been in the league for 2 years. This is my third year, and I've never been traded or anything like that, so it was very different for me. I was very excited for the new opportunity, right? A new city to live in, a new fan base to have, a new coach to try to impress. That's that's what it's about. And the new coach, I think it's someone who can help my game progress, because I'm nowhere near the player I want to be right now. I was watching it, and then everyone started texting me, from old teammates to current teammates to coaches to everyone, just congratulating me, and then it just happened all pretty fast, really.
And I know you said you weren't really buying any of the rumors, anything, kind of sell the rumors, buy the news, but you knew that the possibility was out there.
For sure.
Was Miami like the one, if you were going to be selected, was Miami kind of your favorite, or were you kind of indifferent towards Nashville's or whatever, really? Were you just, I'm a professional, I'm going to go wherever they want me to, or did you kind of have a preference in your mind?
From Nashville and Miami?
Yeah.
I was indifferent. At the end of the day, I don't think I have a say in it, really. But obviously, Miami's Miami, and I would not only for the city, but just for, I think, with the guys they brought in and the guys they have, I think we're gonna have a really good core of guys, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. I think I could help out a lot, and just living here, and obviously me being Hispanic is a huge part of it. Maybe not Nashville with it being like kind of southern and stuff like that. So definitely wanted to come to Miami a little more, but that's just me being biased because of my heritage and stuff like that.
That's all right, man. You can be biased. We all live down here too. But I think it's interesting here because in 2018, you went through the super draft process, and here we are, in 2020, you going through the expansion draft process. Can you kind of talk about a little bit more about how kind of your emotions were different in both draft processes?
Yeah. So in the 2018 draft, unfortunately, I was, picked kind of late, a lot later than I wanted to be, right? At the end of the day, everybody wants to be a first rounder, and I thought I should have been, So just sitting there and watching, I was always happy for everyone that got chosen. At the end of the day, I can't be upset at anyone because it's never their fault, right? And we all fight for the same position to be in. And I was really happy for everyone, but obviously, I thought I for sure was a first rounder. Whatever, things happen, and you don't get chosen first or second. At the end of the day, you go in and you work hard to get your contract, and that's what I did. I put my head down and worked extremely hard, and Greg gave me the opportunity to start my professional career, and I ran with it. I think this expansion draft was a bit different only because it's not me being eager to get chosen. It was more like okay, it could happen, it cannot. At the end of the day, I guess I still had a team in Columbus because I was a Columbus Crew player. But I was just, I guess I was more relaxed, really, just because I knew that it could happen, and then I knew I could stay with Columbus, which was fine with me, right? I had a great time there and enjoy everyone that's in the staff and the whole organization. But then I got chosen, so I was like, you know what, this isn't bad either.
Definitely. And what's your mentality or prep or like for the training or maybe a workout that you're doing, kind of preparing for, training camp and the preseason?
Right. I mean, every day we work on something different. I have a bunch of other friends who are professionals that we train with each other in New York, and some days we'll work on 1v1s, another day like defending, crossing, everything just to that emulates your position, and then obviously staying fit is important. You go 2 months without being in season, that it could really affect you when you come back. I don't think I'm anywhere near fit as I should be, as a lot of players would be, but I think I'll be all right. And I'm just excited to get started and just finally play,
Or just head over to A1A and run on the beach and enjoy that scenery. That'll get you fit real quick.
Yeah, I can't wait, actually.
What was there a certain area that this off season you really wanted to kind of tackle and improve?
Yeah, for sure. I think, my positioning on the field. It also depends what position the coach wants to play me. I think if I were to play out wide like I was playing in Columbus, I definitely wanted to do better at 1v1s. I think I'm someone who could play in the pocket and is able to turn well and drive at people. But I think if I'm isolated 1v1, it's not my strongest suit. But that's something that I worked on a lot. Another thing was using my weak foot more, getting shots off, crosses, and then just little stuff like reactionary stuff, and that's about it, really.
Definitely. And what's the interaction been with, been with Coach Alonso so far?
He supposedly just got here 2 days ago, so I haven't had much contact. I think we'll all see him tomorrow, because we're all getting picked up and going to the same hotel or something like that. But I'm excited to meet him. He's obviously a great coach and has a lot of success in the Mexican League and wherever else he was at. But I'm excited to pick his brain a little bit and soak up everything he has to say, really.
Awesome. And yeah, for the listeners out there, this podcast is recorded on Thursday, January 16th. So it seems like everyone's going to sync on this coming Friday, which is cool. And, I got to ask, being a professional athlete, I've personally never been able to pull this card, but is there some situations you've been out there and you've used the line, I'm a professional soccer player, whether that be with a girl or at the club or something?
No, I don't like using that. I think it's a little tacky.
That's what I said.
Maybe I'm just that guy.
No, it's a little weird, I guess, only because I don't see myself as like a public figure or anything like that. I just play soccer. I kick a ball around. I think if I'm out, right, I don't really like to give my number out. If I tell that to a girl, then she'll be like, okay, like, can I have your IG? So I'm like, sure. And then they'll see the blue check, and then it's like, oh, like, but I'm like, that has nothing to do with it, Like, I don't go around bragging. I just like to kick a ball around. That's all I do. If someone asks me what's my job, I say I kick a ball, and that's all it is.
There you go. Lesson to everybody. Go out and do something and get a blue check.
Be humble, I think, is the message he's trying to preach here.
You're right. That too.
Okay. Now, interesting fact. So you hold 3 passports: United States, Ecuador, and Colombia. You're eligible to play for Ecuador and Colombia on the national level if given the opportunity to do both, but forced to only choose one. And your mom and dad probably won't listen to this, so don't worry about offending them. But what would you we'll say probably, just so it's not a definite answer for mom and dad, but where would you sway towards?
I don't know. It's a hard one. Obviously, you got to go through the logistics and the players and all that. If I had to choose, I would probably say Ecuador. I would have to go with Ecuador.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would love to play for any 3. At the end of the day, whoever gives me the opportunity first is where I'm going, and I'm running with it. But I think out of the Colombia and Ecuador one, I'd probably say Ecuador.
Cool. Excellent, man. Well, listen, we really appreciate the time of you, swinging by and joining us on the pod. It's been great to get to know you, and I'm sure the listeners are going to be very, very pleased. We've been excited for this season for a long time, and we've been happy to see our team grow and the players acquired. We're happy to have you on the team. We can't wait to see what the future holds, and we think we'll be making an impact to this team at some level. And we can't thank you enough. We really appreciate it, Luis.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me. Like you said, I'm very excited to see what happens this year. And let's go Inter.
Absolutely.
Vamos Miami.
Vamos Miami.
Vamos Miami.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, Luis. We appreciate it here, and we'll talk soon.
Of course.
Be good, man.
Those are the type of people that we want on our team, Jay.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. I don't know if they're going purely off a talent level or if they're kind of judging when they acquire these players, kind of the mental level as well. But so far, both Luis and Louise have been just so mentally sound in their approach to the game and continuous improvement, taking care of their bodies, trying to impact the team as much as possible. And both, okay with competing for that starting role. You know, they're not coming in thinking like I'm the starter. You know, they're both coming in like I got to compete. I want to win this. I want the team to be the best it can. If that's with me on the pitch or with me off the pitch, it doesn't matter. And that's the mentality that we need.
Couldn't agree more. I think both Luis's, and who knows, you know, maybe eventually we'll get someone on the podcast not named Luis, but but they have a very similar approach to the game, which I can appreciate. I'm sure everybody out there really enjoyed meeting Mr. Luis Argudo here. He is a new addition to the Inter Miami Herons and a really exciting piece of the puzzle here.
He is. And the good news is
there's more interviews.
We got more interviews.
We have more interviews, as Jay said here. We got a few more players lined up for everybody as we get closer and closer to the season. So make sure to stay tuned and join us every week. And again, hit the little subscribe button, you know, wherever you listen to podcasts, because once you hit that, every time we drop a new pod, it's going to automatically notify you that a new podcast is released. So go ahead and do that. We have a bunch more player interviews lined up here, as well as a little bit of a joint podcast with a national, shall we call them?
National podcast.
Hooligans or Cooligans?
Cooligans.
Cooligans.
The Cooligans.
The Hooligan Squad. But some of you may listen to them right now. But they reached out to us. They kind of obviously understand, you know, what's going on with Inter Miami here, and they heard a little bit about our show, and they will be joining us in the middle of February, which is exciting.
Yeah. No. You said pretty much everything that needs to be said about that. It's cool that, you know, national podcasts are kind of realizing what's going on down here, and I mean it's pretty like humbling and kind of really like is honorable, I guess, that people are reaching out to us to go more in depth about, you know, South Florida soccer.
Yeah, I don't think it's more or less about what we're doing here. We always try to be a week of, you know, kind of the voice for everybody of the listeners out there. We talk to a ton of people on Instagram and Facebook every single week, which is really cool and really, you know, honestly brings a lot of joy to Jay and I's lives here. And so I think it's a testament to everybody listening to the podcast here, contributing, listening on a weekly basis, helping us grow, sending in great questions and things like that. And, you know, so we just wanted to add a little bit of a sneak peek for what we got in the next few weeks.
It's going to be a great podcast because they're both comedians as well. So they're comedians that love soccer. So it's going to be a pretty rowdy. There's going to be a lot of laughs. It's going to be a good time for sure.
Can't wait for it. And, you know, like I just said, we have a few more player interviews here lined up. So make sure to stay tuned, Jay. And now comes to an interesting, exciting portion of today's podcast.
Indeed. So we mentioned at the very beginning, Mr. Diego Alonso is now in South Florida, and he has assembled quite a bit of a crew to assist him in this inaugural season.
It's a squad.
Yeah, so we've got a technical staff, 7 people he's brought over. Few of these guys he's coached with before, so that's great because we know he's got a winning track record, so to have those guys still stick with him and come over to here is going to be something great. But why don't you, kind of tell the listeners who will be joining Coach Alonso this season.
Yeah, well, like Jay said, we have 7 new additions to the coaching staff. The big glaring link between, I'd say, probably about half of which at least, or probably even more to be honest, is the fact that they've worked with Mr. Alonso in the past. They've either played with him as a player, they've coached with him in the past, which is really exciting. Obviously, that goes, you know, a little bit more to strengthening your relationships and really the trust between your staff, as especially a head coach, which so much of the job is really acting as, you know, CEO of an organization, you know, and really trusting your, you know, coordinators and assistants to help you achieve really a lot of the goals. And, you know, to kind of kick it off here, like Jay said, we have 7 new additions on our coaching staff. Really an exciting one.
Sorry, bud. Didn't want to cut you off there.
That's all right. That was the Three Kings shout out home brewery. And like we said at the beginning of the pod, catch the Hefeweizen. It's the champion.
Yeah, it's going to be delicious per usual.
Yes. So to start us off here, we signed Mr. Claudio Arzeno, who is our assistant coach. And like I mentioned, he has a tie with Mr. Alonso in the past. He worked alongside Alonso at Pachuca and Monterrey, and he is a native Argentinian. Moving on to Mauricio Marchetti, who is one of the fitness coaches and assistant coaches, and just like Claudio, he was working with Diego at his previous clubs of Pachuca as well as Monterrey as well. Moving on, we have Gustavo Matral, who is a sports scientist.
Such an interesting term to me.
I love that title.
Yeah.
Maybe I should change my title to podcast scientist.
Go for it, bud. Throw it on your LinkedIn. Put it on the resume and your hobbies.
Yeah, you'll catch that on my LinkedIn. Moving on, we have Mr. Anthony Poulos, who is the assistant coach. Most recently, he was the head coach of St. Louis FC in the USL. He knows David Beckham, actually, funny enough, from their time over in England before he moved over to Orlando City. But obviously a common trend here. There are links to the team. We're not going out and just getting, some players who, we've heard about or don't have any connections with. These are people who are familiar with each other, which I think is pretty cool. Moving on, we have Mr. Albert Rude, who is the assistant coach. He's a Spaniard. He was assistant coach with Alonso at Pachuca. Wow.
What?
I'm gonna put this Three Kings down too, to be honest, bro. From 2000, like we said, it was a long birthday celebration last night.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're dedicated, everybody out there, and we popped on the podcast this morning, so I will get back into it. From 2015 to 2018, he was an assistant with Alonso. He eventually did join him in Monterrey, but not as long as the other folks. Previously to joining Inter Miami, he was the sports intelligence and performance analysis coordinator.
Wow, that's another interesting title and position.
Is
that like business intelligence in the sports arena?
I mean, whatever that is, that title sounds like you're important. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna believe
yeah.
it. This isn't just the assistant coach of the assistant coach over here. These are sports intelligence individuals. Moving on to my man Sebastian Saha.
I see what you did there.
Saha.
Look at that. You got that one right.
I like that.
Sometimes you
like
read
that.
it and you just take it like face value. You don't like understand the pronunciation, but that was good.
I appreciate it, man. I'm learning. I'm here with everybody here. But he's actually going to be our goalkeeper coach. So obviously with Drake Hollander signing here officially, he will now have 4 goalkeepers that he will be coaching and training along the process here. If you haven't already, go ahead and tune in to Luis Robles' interview last podcast. Awesome interview, and I gotta be honest, Jay, I'm really excited that he's the one who's going to be kind of leading the charge on a little bit more of a veteran standpoint.
Yep.
Sebastian was promoted from the Inter Miami CF Academy, where he was previously the goalkeeper coach, so easy transition there, except a little bit higher of a level. He's Argentinian as well, and he retired in 2017 after playing a lot of years in the soccer. And we move into Brett Utley as the last of our coach signings. He's going to be spearheading the video analysis side of things. He previously was an assistant coach at Rio Grande Valley FC, and he will be taking over the video analysis side of our team thus far.
Whew. Good job, bud.
I'm going to pick back up my 3 Kings.
You deserve it, man. We are very happy, I think, to have these 7 individuals coming on. You said it, kind of midway through all that, we're not just going out there and hiring people. It seems that we're building a family. There are relationships here that are just deeper than, handshakes. So, La Familia, we say it, man. It's what it's all about. And we've got guys that will be able to mesh and have a great culture, from a coaching technical staff. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, to your point here, and taking almost one step further, now we know that players are down here in South Florida. Obviously from Luis's interview here earlier in the podcast, we know that they were all together on Friday. Diego Alonso is in the building. Our staff is assembled or assembling, and we're ready to kick some ass here in 2020, baby.
We are. Camp is everything's official now.
To run through a door, dude.
Well, Quinn was trying to do that earlier, but yeah. Outside of that, we do have a new addition to the team. We mentioned this on the last episode, more of a verbal agreement. We do have an official agreement now for
Who do we have?
Mr. Lewis Morgan, who is a winger who most recently has been playing for Celtic in Scotland. Again, we mentioned like Celtic and Rangers are pretty two well-known Scottish teams throughout the world. He had a hefty £300,000, not dollars, but pounds transfer fee. And if my math and knowledge is correct, that's probably around somewhere between 350 to 400,000 US dollars, I believe. But the actual deal, that was just a transfer fee. The actual deal is 520,000 US dollars, a 3-year deal. So this guy I'm really excited about. His highlight reel will probably have to put in the bio of this description. Awesome video because they're just like the Scottish announcers, just like they sound so passionate. But this guy, great winger. He is not afraid to shoot from outside the box, and he doesn't. A lot of people that rip him from outside the box go high or try and curve it, bend it in or go over the keeper. This guy, he likes those low balls, those worm burners, as I like to call them, and he's very accurate from deep. So he will literally it almost looks like a pass from outside the box, and you don't really think it's going to go in, and then it's perfectly placed into the corner. Like it's
sneaky.
impressive.
It's sneaky.
The
goalkeeper, it's funny. The dude fires in some goals from long distance, but I think the goalkeeper's a little bit taken by surprise. It's not in the air.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because, when you're doing it from that deep, you have so many guys in between you. If you're shooting from outside the box, more than likely your 4 defensive players are going to be in between you and the player. So you can't always see when the shot's ripped, which is a disadvantage to a keeper because you have to react even faster. But this guy, again, he can place them perfectly from so deep, and the goalkeepers a lot of times don't have the reaction speed to stop that from going in. So,
yeah,
great addition on the wing, and we continue to build out this attack.
Yeah, I think Jay just dropped some knowledge on everybody. Get this. If it's on the ground, there's players in front of them. If it's in the air, there's no players in front of them. That's why people typically shoot in the air.
No, it doesn't matter. It's about your vision being blocked. It's about the goalkeeper's vision being blocked. But yes, it has been a long night. Maybe that was my John Madden moment. If you don't get the football into the end zone, you're not going to score a touchdown. I guess
shoot or shoot.
Yeah, exactly. But that's official. Welcome to the squad. That's the one area we need to continue to build out is that attack and the outside
We're young
play.
up front. We're young up front.
We are, but we have how many defenders do we have now? About nine defenders, 7 midfielders. Our attack, our forwards, we only have 4 in I guess now 5. But I like this addition. We again still have our 2 DP spots, and we have some rumors that we're going after. This guy, Agustin Almendra, who plays for Boca Juniors. We have spoken about Boca Juniors in the past. Boca Juniors and River Plate are consistently the 2 best clubs out of Argentina. This guy's 19 years old. He's valued at 10.8 million pounds right now. Again, that's probably closer to like 11 or 12 million US dollars, maybe even a little more than that at 19 years old. That's crazy.
Your math is impeccable.
Impeccable. You said impeccable. Okay. Man, we're struggling. This guy would, if we can, there's a few teams vying for this guy. If we can secure him, that'd be great. Now he's an expensive player, so that means we're gonna have to use a DP spot on him. If we did not already have Mateus Pellegrini as our young designated player, we would most certainly put Augustin in that role. Mm-hmm. But he might be just taking one of our DP spots, leaving another one for big name. Hopefully, like again. David Silva, everything seems to be lining up, but pretty solid young midfielder, great play, will be here for the long haul. It's all about longevity. Outside of that, other rumor is Nicolas Figal, who plays for Independiente in Argentina. He's a defender. You know, if they can get a good deal on him, great. I think we probably don't, we need to focus on other areas. Defense seems to be very stacked right now. But that's really, the I guess recent rumor news that we have going on. So, that's where we are right now, up to date.
Well, like Jay said, I think that we got to add to our attack here, but I think our defense is stout. Midfield is obviously filling in here, but we still have a couple pieces to put together on the pie, which brings me to our listener question of the day. Jay and Alex. See that's suspense right there, dude. Or it was just my mind blanked. But who are you guys most excited to see and why? Really straightforward question. Right now with the current roster, who are we most excited to see and why? Jay, why don't you kick us off?
Man, last night was fun, bud. I'll tell you what.
It was real
We're
fun,
really
man.
struggling, but it was
back to our early 20s on that.
Yeah. I felt old as hell.
Well, you looked at me one time and you're like, dude, I don't miss this.
Yeah, it was we went to the wharf and it was absolutely, that's a big
it was
place.
Bumping though.
That place was absolutely slammed. It was a freaking zoo. After dinner drinking, we then went to proceed to Casa Amigos after Casa Amigos after Casa Amigos. Gosh, all right, moving on. Trying to focus here. Who am I most excited about? Oh, I got to stay true to one of our day ones. I'm really excited to see Mr. Christian McCoon, the beast himself. Wow. Very stout defender. I think a lot of people are probably really excited to see Julian Carranza, Mateus Pellegrini, but I think that's pretty given, so I want to go outside the box. And you know me, I've been high on this guy, and I'm talking about our boy, Jerome Kiesewetter. I have this, I don't know, I guess.
Well, how many players, who's your most, it's one player.
That's two.
How many people are you listing?
No, that's two. Oh, it's just one player? I thought we were doing three. Oh,
no, okay. You get one and I get one. You don't get two and I get zero.
You know what? We're going to change it. We're going to go with three. Okay?
All right. Let's do three.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I really like Julian Green, but I like these German, American guys that can come over and ball out. I know Christian Pulisic wasn't, quote unquote German, but he was an American that played in Germany. So for some reason, I have a good feeling about Jerome Kiesewetter. But besides that, I mean, who would my third one be? You know what? Probably Lewis Morgan, actually. After watching these highlights, I'm 100% down with this guy on the squad. So I would say, yeah, Christian McCone, Jerome Kiesewetter, and then Lewis Morgan. Now, who are you most excited about? And if you just want to do one, you can. If you want to step your game up and do three, feel free.
You better watch your mouth or I might pull out four.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I think first and foremost, my player that I'm most excited to see out on the pitch is Mr. Lee Nguyen, the ninja himself.
Dude, I might rock like one of those like headband ties.
Should we dress up as ninjas from day one?
That would be a fun thing to do as fans, is everyone's rocking a headband.
We might take the mascot job that immediately
would be dope.
though.
That would be dope.
I like that idea. But beyond his awesome nickname that we deemed him the Ninja, Lee Nguyen, I'm stoked to see this guy on the pitch because dude dances around like a ballerina in a good way. He's a magician out there. I really think that beyond his experience, not just being just an awesome player in general, but he's also a leader. And we talked to a couple players off mic here, and I think a lot of people have been saying that they're excited to play with this guy, not just from what he can do on the field, but also on a standpoint of bringing the team together. So I would say he is definitely number one.
We got some strong mentors on this team.
Absolutely, which is funny enough because when we started out in this process, I think a lot of people's concerns, and especially one of ours, was kind of the I'm not going to say immature, but just younger players out there that didn't have the experience under the belt. And I think once we got a few of these players, and him being one, Lee being one, got really excited about him from many different aspects and components of the whole ecosystem of the team succeeding. So definitely win number one. Number two, I would definitely have to say is Roman Torres. I cannot wait to see him out there, and I know Christian was your top choice to go ahead and see
those two on the internal defense, like that's going to be
scary.
They're beasts.
It's scary. And I think seeing him out there, from everything that I've heard about him and done our research on, sounds like he's just like a cyborg out there, or like a predator that's just ready to strike. So really excited to see him out on the pitch. I think he's going to be a fantastic addition to the team. And last but not least, David Norman Jr.
Our boy.
My man, David.
We've been hyping David up since like day one.
David is the man. I can't wait to see him out there for no other reason since he's been our boy since day one.
Yeah.
And that's going to round out my top 3. That's obviously subject to change, as a few more additions, I'm sure, will be added to the team, as well as we still have a few vacant DP spots. We think that obviously one may be filled here, rather soon, but that still leaves one remaining.
Yeah, and I've said this again. A lot of the big name players, they're not going to be available until June. So we're gonna have to play a couple months without them. And honestly, I'm comfortable with the squad we're building. If we can get a pretty nice, even if we get Augustin or another decent DP, I'd be okay with even holding on to that last spot until June, because I think that this team can hold their own up to that point, and then they'll just be reinforced, with a stud, and it'll really help, launch us into the playoffs and a potential, dare I say, title run.
I mean, it's very possible, and we've seen it. The blueprint's out there. We've seen a few teams, in the past, even recent years, achieve the goal that we're trying to set out to achieve. So it's definitely possible. And, like Jay said, and even to go back to, an earlier topic of the lack of, kind of advertising or awareness that we're seeing, around the Tri-County area, Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade, winning solves everything. Mm-hmm. And if the team just comes out and just starts rolling over teams and pulling in and inching out those victories that really depend your season going, above 500 or below 500, and pulling out those W's and getting into the playoffs and setting that as, a realistic first goal here in the first season is to get into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I think that the whole community around the South Florida area is just gonna gravitate to the team at a rate that I don't think that we can even imagine right now.
100% agree. I don't think it's going to be hard at all to overthrow the Marlins and the Dolphins as the teams of Miami. I know that the Heat has been fighting, holding their own this season, but it wouldn't take much. You get a playoff contender, you get some big names, you get that hype going, and South Florida will get behind it.
Well, I think that's the beauty, is not just acquiring big names, and once this season gets going, someone dominating out there in the MLS and bringing that big name to himself.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. We're in a great position. We're in a great part of the country with a lot of support for this game, a great market. A great place for players to want to come. Like we have an opportunity. It seems like we're on the right track to really capitalize on everything. But this is going to be really, really exciting to see.
Yes. And like we've been with you every step of the road, and we plan to be there every step of the road, whether that be the preseason, whether that be talking about player and coach signings, whether that be the regular season kicking off here in March. And bringing this season to effect. It's
coming so fast. We live in the age where we want it now. Give it to me now. We are sitting here trying to be as patient as we can, waiting for this season to kick off. Listeners, if you like other sports, follow those sports too. Focus at work. Find some way to distract yourself. Because if you sit there watching the clock, it goes really slow. But if you can find other ways to distract yourself, time flies by. And we're getting to that moment where it's crazy, because you think back 3 months seems long ago, but it doesn't really seem that long ago. And now here we are. Like, we're so close. Let's just get there, man.
I'm curious, Jay. How do you pass your time?
I work, I rear a child, and then I watch a lot of soccer and beat you at FIFA.
Ew. Shots fired. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, but it's about time for Jay and I to get on the sticks downstairs and whip out some FIFA. Gotta reclaim the throne on the top of the mountain right there. But everybody, thank you for joining us. This is the Inter Miami podcast. We will catch you next week. It is my birthday on this Friday, so myself will be in Colorado for some skiing trip, Jay. Some skiing.
Well, while you're having fun doing that, Max Ramos and I did a little season schedule review, which will be dropping as a little early kind of bonus, probably around Thursday is what we're thinking. But we really do appreciate everyone listening. Hope you guys have been enjoying the interviews. Per usual, follow us on IG or Facebook at Inter Miami Podcast. Email us at jandalex@intermiamipodcast.com.
And again, we will continue to voice our listener questions that are sent in to us via email or Instagram or Facebook. So continue to reach out to us. Again, Jay and myself are always active around the communities as well as responsive to any types of inquiries that you guys may have. So go ahead and do so. And that being said,
don't forget about the website.
The website.
InterMiamiPodcast.com. It
Yes.
is up. It is live. The episodes are there. Check it out.
I'm dancing right now, Jay.
I know.
All right. We're going to get off the mic. Everybody have a fantastic week. We will talk to you soon. This is Alex.
I'm Jay.
And we're signing off.
Vamos Miami.
We'll see you next week, everyone.